So in December, my son comes in, he comes running in, he's all excited, and he says, Daddy, I got my first egg. And I thought, hallelujah, it's here. Now rewind, he got the chickens in April, and he was planning on getting eggs by September, October. He didn't get any until December. And everybody's telling him, well, they should be laying by now, they should be laying by now. But he finally got some in December, and he was so excited. So the question you may have is, my chickens, are they ever gonna lay eggs? So you need to ask yourself a few questions first before you start getting discouraged about whether your chickens are gonna lay eggs or not. First off, how old are they? It usually takes most chickens 5 to 6 months before they start laying eggs. Second question you want to ask is, what breed are they? A Leghorn can start laying within 5 months, whereas a heritage breed may take a little longer. So you need to know what kind of breed you have, and you can look up how long it takes for your breed. And keep watching, because at the end I'm going to tell you what I think the main key was and why my son's chickens started laying eggs. Now, I said that chickens need 14 to 16 hours of daylight to help them in laying eggs, for them to lay eggs. So if they're not getting that, or if it's winter, then you may want to add some light to their house to get a little bit more light, so they'll lay eggs. You just want to make sure you turn that off and don't leave it on all the time, because it may mess up their cycle. But you know, if you need to add, if it's wintertime and you're not getting full amount of daylight, then you may want to add a little bit more to daylight so that they'll start laying better. Now, chickens need a comfortable and safe space to lay their eggs. So they want to be comfortable in the cage. You don't want to have it too crammed, and it needs to be safe. I mean, if their friend's getting eaten all the time, that may not facilitate them laying eggs. So try to keep them safe. You know, put them up at night and make sure that they're in a safe environment. And you want them to have nesting boxes that are full of straw or wood shavings to encourage them to lay there. If they feel, one point is if they feel safe and comfortable, then that's a good chance that they're going to lay on a constant basis. The stress is another factor to consider. If your chickens feel stressed, they're not going to lay as much, or they may not start laying. Now, stress can come from overcrowding, it can come from predators, or it can come from a change in their environment. If you're constantly moving them from one pen to the next or something like that, then that can cause some undue stress on the chicken. So that may make them not lay as much. So you want to pay attention to their behavior on whether they're stressed out or not. And what they would be doing would be, they'd be a little skittish, or they would be a little more aggressive, one of the two. So just pay attention to that to see whether they might be stressed or not be. Now, chickens are going to tend to lay less during the winter when they don't have as much daylight and it's colder temperatures. And if you notice a drop in egg production in the winter, don't panic. You know, just make sure you provide them with a healthy diet, add some light like we said earlier, and make sure they're comfortable in their coop. Now, one thing you want to consider when they start laying, and we had this problem a little bit, was that they would peck the eggs. So you don't want to get chickens that start laying and then they would eat their own eggs. So if that's a problem, you need to make sure you check those eggs regularly. Sometimes we would go a few days without checking the eggs, and that is not good if they're eating the eggs. So you want to make sure you're checking often. We actually put a golf ball in ours to try to encourage them to lay. So those are just some tips that you can do to help them maybe lay a little better. So you want to look for signs that your chickens may start laying pretty soon. You know, you want to look for behavior like nesting, squatting, increased clucking, maybe a sign that they're going to start laying soon. So just to sum it up, and then when we get through summing it up, I'll tell you the main thing I think we did that helped them to start laying eggs back in December when they did. Be patient. Give your chickens time to mature. You know, they're like humans, they're different. And they're not all going to start laying at the same time. They're not all going to do the same thing. Just because your neighbors did don't mean yours are going to. So be patient with them. Like I said, they're different. Make sure they have enough light. Make sure you're giving them a balanced diet. Make sure they have a comfortable environment. And be mindful of the season changes. I mean, if you got your chickens in September, I mean, you may not get any for a while just because of the winter months. So be mindful of the season change. And just remember, with the right care, eventually your chickens are going to start laying. Now, I said I would tell you, and I'll show you as I'm talking, I'll show you the picture of this bag, but the main thing I think we did that helped them to lay eggs is we were buying our feed from Tractor Supply. It was just a Tractor Supply brand of food, and we switched it to our local co-op, and you see the picture now on the screen, but when we switched it to that, within 2 weeks, they were laying eggs. So you may just want to change up their food, try to get something from your local guys. I don't know if it was what the difference was, but all I know is within 2 weeks they started laying eggs. So if you want to try something different, try just to change the feed up. If they're not laying, that may be something that'll help. And it may not be that there was anything wrong with the other food, it's just a change. So try that, try to change your feed and see if that helps. And those are just some tips of how to get your chickens to lay eggs if they're not laying eggs.